Today on the podcast, I'm joined by saxophonist and educator Ryan Devlin, a Florida native. Ryan grew up immersed in music, learning from his father, Scott Devlin, leader of the Walt Disney World Jazz Quartet. After earning his master's in jazz performance from the New England Conservatory, Ryan's gone on to perform across North America and share the stage with legends like Ravi Coltrane and Adam Nussbaum. His voice on the saxophone is both rooted in tradition and pushing forward with a modern edge. And we're live. So, Ryan, thanks for being here.
Man, thanks so much for having me. This is awesome.
My pleasure. I mean, you're the first person I'm going to speak to that also has a jazz podcast. So that's really the
Yeah.
first thing I wanted to kind of pick your brain about. Did you start the podcast, because you felt there needed to be more interviews in the space? Like, what was your thought process like getting started?
Yeah, so the podcast is called The Hang with my buddy Dave Pollock, who's another saxophone player. And our goal with that was to have a podcast that kind of got into the side of musicians that you don't really get to know just based on their playing and seeing them at a show or whatever. Like, we wanted to almost to make it feel like you're in like the green room of a show with an artist and like just hanging. And our saying is, the hang is more important than the gig, which a lot of my mentors have told me. If you can't hang after the gig or but in between the shows, people aren't going to want to work with you. So yeah, we just kind of try to make it like that, like we're just hanging with our favorite musicians.
Do you think just having those one-on-one conversations with these great artists has helped your playing in a sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. One of my biggest achievements, I think, in my young life so far has been being on the road with Adam Nussbaum and Gene Perla for 5 weeks one summer. We were in 2022. We went 5 weeks in a row for this little album tour.
With
And
Mike Bond on piano, right?
yeah, Mike Bond was on piano, Steve Cortiga on saxophone with me as well. And yeah, that was, just having conversations with them in the car, on the plane, at the airport, all that stuff. Like, just getting crazy stories from their time with, the legendary musicians that they played with as well. And, I like to say that those 5 weeks were like a undergrad's worth of knowledge and information, just in those 5 weeks for sure.
Well, I also like it too because you have these guys who are of a different generation who are,
Yep.
played with all these, pioneers of the music, and then to more, let's call it up and coming players. So I just think
Hmm.
that, just makes the music that much more special.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're kind of coming from, different areas of our lives, and that definitely comes into the music. And, Gene and Nussbaum, but specifically Gene is on like three of my favorite records of all time, like Some Shapes to Come, Elvin Jones Live at the Lighthouse, the list goes on. And to just like hear him behind me while I was playing, it's just like felt like I was like in those records sometimes. Very surreal. And, yeah, it's just, I'm so thankful for those times for sure.
Well, you also said something really interesting too, which was that 5 week tour was like getting an undergraduate degree. And I know exactly what you're talking about because the jazz institution is both it's a great thing, but also not the best thing in the world because of
Right.
all the, I don't have to get into all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But these days, more and more people are not going to school and kind of more thinking about being an entrepreneur as starting their career, going in their own direction. So
Hmm.
if someone, let's say, hypothetically speaking, they just, for whatever reason, couldn't make going to music school work, jazz school work, what do you think you would tell them to really, get the most out of learning how to do this music?
Well, I'll say in 2025, there's so many resources for us. I work for a company called Jazz Lesson Videos, which is by Chad Lefkowitz Brown, and that's a completely online thing. We have daily coaching sessions that we do online. We have hours and hours of video courses and PDF books and YouTube channel, like free content as well. And you can get a lot out of just that. I do think that there is, on the other side of that coin, it's like my time on the road with those musicians was playing with them too. You know what I mean? And like playing with live people. Like there's nothing better than that and experiencing that. But even talking to Adam Nussbaum about this, like the younger generation, and he was saying like, he didn't go to music school himself, and he just learned by playing with, people. And he was saying that if you invest the same amount of money that you would put into a music school and put together your own tour, do your own record, you know what I mean? Like, just go and experience that and fail at it and do it again, you know what I mean? Like, going to New England Conservatory, thank God I got a scholarship, because like, it's like $38K a semester. I know Berkeley's like the same thing. And imagine if you put that amount of money towards other aspects of this music that you're probably going to have to put towards anyway when you get out of school. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's kind of the vibe. And, so I think there's that part too. And like, the free content is great. The amount of resources we have, like recorded data that's coming out now from like Coltrane and, all these new records that are constantly coming out, that we didn't have before, like that's also kind of plays into this too. So I guess I would say, if you don't want to go to school and don't want to spend money there, even spending a fraction of that and setting a goal for yourself to make a record and go on a tour and invest in that, and then also just take online lessons with people that do it over Zoom or whatever. When I was doing my undergrad, I took lessons with other people on Zoom while I was, I took lessons with Chad LB, I took lessons with Lucas Pino, I took lessons with Ted Baker of the Airmen of Note. Like, I reached out to a lot of cats, to try and get the most amount of information I could in that time of my life. And so if you're not going to school, absolutely invest in that too. Try and find a mentor, even if it's online, because we're so connected these days. It can be easier, but. I
don't know how you feel about this or not, but if someone asked me, should I go to music school in 2025, I would probably tell them, I would lean towards no, even though I did go to music school. I don't, you know what I mean? It's just because the times have changed so much, even in the last couple of years.
Agreed. Yeah. I do think, and we have a lot of young students. My dad's a saxophone teacher as well, and we try and play the thing of like, can you get a scholarship? Because you never want to go into debt going to music school. Like, that's the number one thing. Like, if you can go and get a nice scholarship, in-state tuition, whatever, and your parents can afford it, cool, right?
Yeah,
but
definitely.
To have any sort of debt when you get out of school, it's so hard as a musician to get out of that. So scholarship is number one, and trying to find that if you want to go down that route. But if you don't, I agree with you that you can absolutely get the equivalent if you don't go to school, if you look in the right areas, for sure.
No, but you make a good point too. If you get the scholarship, by all means, it's not going to cost you anything to do it, but
totally
it can set you back quite a bit. So there's a lot of, I like to always ask musicians who I'm curious about their day to day, because being a jazz musician is, like behind the scenes, we want to know what's going on. So talk to me a little bit about the day to day. What's a typical week look like for you when the schedule is, pretty full?
Yeah. So I split my time right now between Florida and Boston. I go back and forth. So when I'm in Florida, I'm a big golfer. I love to golf, and that gets me outside, gets me in the fresh air and kind of my mind on different things. So I'm an early morning riser guy. I've always been since I was young. And so I usually go out, play 18 holes, like 7 a.m. to like 11. I do that and I come home, and then I usually teach lessons. Even when I am traveling, I'll teach lessons, usually on average 2 a day, but it depends on my schedule. I film a lot of content for jazz lesson videos now. So I do filming here, filming in Boston, with their team as well. And then hopefully gigs at night, every week's a little bit different, as you know, the vibe of this. But yeah, I would say right now, my average, I'm traveling 10 to 15 days out of the month, like going to different schools. I like the first part of this year so far has been all like residencies at schools. Like, just got back from Ohio yesterday, at the Ohio State University Saxophone Day. I was the guest artist for that. I was in Detroit a couple weeks ago doing a sax day for Wayne State, wearing the shirt. So it's been a lot of that. In September, like of last year, it was all just club dates. Like, I was just playing club dates in different states with different bands, like side manning it out. But yeah, typical day is usually golf or some kind of exercise in the morning. Come home, teach some lessons, and then either go to the airport or go to a gig that's local, depending on where I'm at.
Yeah, are there opportunities where around where you live to play straight ahead jazz or modern jazz, like in a quartet setting, and around where you live in Florida?
Yeah, so when I'm in Florida, I'm in Orlando, and there are definitely some nice clubs here that allow that, and there's an audience for it. There's like I'd say there's about four on a regular basis that you could go in and hear a really great quartet. When I am home though, in Florida, I don't usually play those gigs like often because I just kind of like this is when I'm here. I like to teach and do my kind of content creation, and then when I go to Boston or New York or some of these, when I try and play the straight ahead stuff, the audience is just a little bit bigger for that. And I have friends here that play that we come over, have sessions or whatever. But yeah, I usually play like once or twice a month here in Florida. And then I try and keep most of my straight ahead gig playing outside. But there are opportunities for sure.
Yeah, no, that's great. You said you have such a multi-dimensional life in this music, but at the same time you've accomplished so much, and being still in the earlier parts of your career, I would say, right?
Hmm.
You're going to these universities, you're doing these master classes for the students, guest and artist in residence, and getting to tour with these masters. But let's look down the road, let's say 5 or 10 years from now. Are there certain things you want to be doing that you haven't gotten a chance to do yet musically?
Definitely. I want to tour Europe. Definitely want to do that and go to Japan, like go to the other countries and experience that and get to know people over there. I want to get on more festivals. I got a couple of them coming up that are on the local side here. Like I have one next week in Celebration, Florida, and then I have one in Jacksonville. And I applied for the Detroit Jazz Festival this year too, so I'm hoping that gets across. But like would love to play Newport someday. All the big festivals for sure. Definitely want to do another album under my own name within a year or so. I've been doing a lot of writing this year and trying to kind of hone in on my own compositions, which I haven't done much in my career yet. So that's a goal down the line of doing just a whole record of originals, and arrangements, I guess. But yeah, but the first thing on the docket right now is to venture into the European, communities and trying to branch out there.
No, that's awesome. I mean, a big part of doing this music, even when I talk to musicians who are in their 60s, there is, everyone deals with self-doubt, or even goes through gets rejected by something, but
Hmm.
then you have to overcome that and use that to fuel you,
Definitely.
and not get down about it. But for people who have to deal with those things, who their heart's in the right place, what would you tell them to persevere? How would you do it?
Yeah, I studied with Jerry Bergonzi at New England Conservatory, and he's like my living hero. I want to be like him when I grow up. He's amazing in every way. And my 2 years with him, I like tried to be his like right hand man. I just took every single class, every lesson, the whole thing. And I was definitely in a worse mental space when I started studying with him about my playing, like getting really dark about it. And, I would go into lessons like, man, I feel like I'm practicing, but like my playing's going nowhere, and, all this stuff. And he told me a couple stories, but one that really stuck with me, a quote that he said. He's like, Ryan, if you want to change your playing, you got to change who you are.
Definitely.
He's like, no matter what, if you're anxious, you're going to play anxious. If you're angry, you're going to play angry. He's like, you can't get away from that. And that was a big moment where I was like, man, that's so true. And he's always so calm. I like to think that he's like Yoda, you know what I mean? Like when he's like walking around and playing and stuff. And so I really started to, try and work on my mental health and my, overall just like trying to be less anxious and more relaxed and looking into what that means and how to deal with that. And ever since that, and really also trusting that I don't have to prove anything about playing the saxophone, right? I put in the work, whether I play gigs or not, like I'm happy with what I'm doing and the progression that I'm going on. And I'm just trying to trust that and trust my ability to play. And that helps me be way more relaxed and enjoy it a lot more, because I think I was really anxious about always trying to sound the most killing possible and like, all this stuff and impressing everybody with every single note. And I think that's why my playing to me always sounded like I was either trying to be somebody else or sounded rushed or anxious, whatever. Is I just wasn't trusting myself. So he
Yeah, I
really
think it's just
instilled
the
that
human
into me.
condition. Like, we work so hard. Part of the reason we get into this is, there's something within us. We don't, it's hard. I'm not a psychologist, but it's like, we want to assert that part, but then eventually we know the best music we make, you have to remove yourself from that. And it's just like,
Totally.
you have to like let go of the control in order to really, I mean, at least I feel that way now with,
Yeah. Which is hard. It's hard to remove yourself from your art. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
take yourself out of that. But really, I mean, I think my favorite musicians of all time all do that to the masterful level. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So that would be my piece of advice is like, look at yourself. What are the qualities of yourself that you like and don't like? And is that coming out of your playing? Is that not, and address that. And then just trust yourself. Trust yourself that the work that you're putting in is working. And, yeah, that's what I would
Yeah.
say.
No, I just like, I have this, while you're talking about this, I have this thought. It's like, we like having the control as humans, like we do we do, but then it's like when you go on the bandstand, you have to almost tell yourself goodbye. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
the subconscious takes over.
like, and you have to,
Totally.
and it's hard to do because we like control.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
for
no,
sure.
that's great stuff. So you studied with him when you were, was Boston a good opportunity for you? Did you get to play with musicians from like Berkeley or,
Yeah.
see a lot of different schools? Yeah.
Yeah, I met a lot of people my age and younger that were at Berkeley and NEC and one in particular, well, two in particular. One of them was a drummer that I had my first ensemble. His name's Caleb Montague. Him and I in the last played like 300 gigs together on the road. Yeah, he's fantastic. He's so easy to travel. He's like one of my best friends. And another guy is a bass player from Berkeley. His name's Ian Ashby. We play all the time together and travel a lot together. And he's one of my brothers now. So just meeting those two guys and being able to play with them all the time was a fantastic thing. And I could list names for an hour on people that I got to meet while living there full time. And I still get to see them, when I go up there and play and whatnot. But yeah, fantastic. Boston's a great place to live. I wish it wasn't so expensive, but yeah, very thankful for my time up there.
So you would actually go to on campus at Berkeley and play sessions there?
Totally. All the time. Yeah, it was great. Just meeting people and meeting undergrads, because I went there for grad school, but meeting undergrads that were tearing it up and like, asking them who they study with, where they're from, all their influences and stuff. I love the community aspect of that, that part of Boston.
Yeah. So as far as upcoming gigs that you're looking forward to this year, is there anything that you're super excited about?
Yeah, I got a couple coming up in New York and Boston. I have two at the Zinc Bar with a great band. Billy Hart's playing drums, Gene Perla's playing bass, and Leo Genovese is playing piano. We're doing
I
a
just saw
tribute.
Leo last week play.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What day is that? What day?
26th and 27th of August.
Okay.
We're
This
playing
summer.
two sets. Yeah, in the summer. That's in New York, and then in Boston we have a gig at Scullers. I think it's like September 19th with the same band, and we're doing a whole tribute to Steve Grossman, who is near and dear to my heart, and a big influence on me. And he was played with Gene for many, many, many years, and Billy. So we're doing that in the summer. I think we're also gonna do some shows in Nashville, but they're not confirmed yet. So I'm extremely excited about doing those. And then I have some things in June in Philly. I'm playing at Chris's Jazz Cafe in Philly in June, and playing in New Jersey at that new club Brush Culture. With a great saxophone player, young saxophone player he's from Florida, but he's in Jersey now. His name's Fortunato Okino, and he's got a band, and he invited me to come up and play like a twin tenor kind of thing up there. So I'm excited about that. I haven't seen him in a couple years, so excited about that. But yeah, those are the ones that are upcoming, And then I have like those festivals I talked about. I have one in May 2nd is the one in Celebration, Florida, and then May 24th is the one in Jacksonville. Florida.
So the schedules, you got a lot of these exciting things coming up, but if you could play gigs at, let's say it was either really great clubs or festivals, like, and that's all. And there was no question about how often you could do it. Like it was just at your own, whenever you wanted to. What's the sweet spot for how many gigs per week you think? If it was in like all great venues and
Hmm.
with whoever you want to play with, what do you think it would be? Because every night you get exhausted, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I've had some tours where it's like 6 or 7 nights for like 2 weeks at a time, and that's like, you know. So I think the sweet spot is 4 to 5. You know, like my favorite. I think Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday would be really cool, or even Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday would be cool. Like one of those kinds of residencies. Because that gives you a little bit of a break, you know, after the first couple, and then you can kind of reconvene and go back. But
Yeah, and everyone's different too. Like me, it's like maybe three maybe times a week is like I would,
yeah,
but because I just know myself,
right, right, yeah, yeah. If I can do like, I tell my wife this, like I love the travel schedule of like leaving for 3 or 4 days and getting my jazz fix, and then coming home and like just relaxing for like a week and then doing it again. Like getting that kind of vibe. So, yeah,
Yeah, it's I like how you say it. It's the jazz fix because you get home and then you're like, yeah, I'm relaxed now, but then you just want to go play again.
totally. Yep, absolutely. I hate playing with backing tracks. I'd much rather play with real people.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, the backing tracks they're a blessing and a burden.
Yes, absolutely.
And even it's I feel like a lot of the younger musicians just because like it's what's so important to play in front of people. It's like a skill you can't it just has to be done.
Totally.
It's just
Yeah.
nothing playing on like a live stream is just not the same.
Yeah, for sure. Live and the audience, I mean, that's such an important aspect to what we do, communicating on the mic, like being good on the mic is a whole set of skills too.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, Ryan, this has been fantastic.
Yeah,
Thanks so
man.
much for talking with me today. And I'll
Absolutely. Thanks for
definitely
having
try to
me.
make it out to the shows in August at Zig Bar, one of them at least.
Oh man, that'd be great. Yeah, and I hope we can play sometime. I come up to New York sometimes to just hang too. So, definitely down to just hang or make a session happen or something
Yeah,
like that.
hang, have a session,
Yeah.
grab a drink or a
Yeah.
Pellegrino.
I would love it. Yeah.
Definitely. No, thanks so much for talking to me
Yeah.
today.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.